Okay, great. So thanks to everyone who's able to join today and to everyone who's watching this later. Interested to hear what you have going on as well. Main purpose of this meeting is really just to bring everyone back together and share what's been going on in the local meat space, but also just to give some updates on some of the pieces that have been going on that we know about, some opportunities, some disappointments. And then also we've invited Henry here today to give a demo on a really nice tool that we thought that a lot of processors and producers might want to start using. And so we'll do some quick updates and then turn it over to Henry to show what this can, what this tool can do. Farm manage, right? So I guess we'll just start with the disappointing news, which many of you might be aware of. So the Climate Smart Commodity Projects, which a bunch of our producers in this network have been involved in, and our team was involved with 2 of those. Pretty much all of those projects were officially ended by USDA. So that's just what happened. The growing grass project that was working on building regenerative byproduct markets, the market is still in existence and the group is still working to grow those markets, led by Other Half Processing, who's the one that had actually started that market. So there's still a certification. The development of certification is going, but the big project is gone, and the support for producers to participate is gone. So bummer all around. And then there was the other one that was led by Open Team, that Roots of Change was involved in. It was also canceled. So we'll see where else we can find resources to kind of fill in those blanks. But I mean, the movement's still there, but that big funding pool is gone. So that was to get the bad news out of the way first. On the good news side, and Sam, maybe you can talk to this as well. The University of California purchasing program went forward with their kind of first contract under the new rules as part of the regenerative meat purchasing program. And we know it was kind of taking the pilots and continuing them and growing them a little bit. And so, Sam, do you have anything to share on that? Like, was the process easier? How did it change? What is your impression so far?
Yeah, good question. So what it did really was lift the barrier so that individual universities can contract with us. It didn't automatically do anything, so to speak. So, for instance, are trying hard, have been trying hard to get into UC Santa Cruz recently, and that alone, there was still a significant amount of approval processes that needed to take place. So, really, it's if you don't have this in place, they won't even begin the approval process. It still took 4 to 6 weeks to even be approved to be able to deliver to their campus, and we actually have not delivered yet. So it's when we talked about what a big step this is, it's a big theoretical step. Hasn't actually moved any more beef into the UC system as of yet. Hopefully our work this summer will allow us we'll be able to lay the groundwork so that we can be in LA. Actually, we did get LA Health, so that's actually a huge step in the right direction. I think their first deliveries were last week, and that did happen because the barrier was lifted. But it is all still individually by each campus. They all have their own rules. They all have their own desires for what they want. Some want more regenerative product. Some don't have the budgets for it. So we're still continuing to do the work that we were already doing. There's no, imaginary stopping power on the side of the university to say, oh, you're not contracted and we can't even build a contract with you. Now they can, and we can show them this contract that says, here are the pricing structures already in place. It's a specific markup based on the cost of goods, so there's no ambiguity there. But it is really still just a first step, but a huge first step for a small business like ours, because otherwise that's like, a Cisco contract.
Right. Thanks, Sam. And
And that is great about the LA Health. So that's good to hear that's moving.
Yeah, I don't think as much about SoCal because we have our whole other team down there. But yeah, we did just get LA Health on, and it was that contract was the impetus for being able to do that.
And I wish Michael could jump in here because he had a little more on this, but our understanding is that the UC is in the process of finalizing another RFP that they're going to send out to see if they can bring in some more providers, but that hasn't been released yet. So we're pinging Marilyn to see what the status of that is, and as soon as that's out, we'll see if we can get her on here to talk to folks because the goal there is to open up and bring more product into the system. Hey Clint, welcome. And then I guess the other piece of this is important, and actually, Doris, I'll ask you if you know any more. I know that there was and actually maybe Ricardo as well, there is an effort to go to the state to get some additional funding to support kind of providing additional funding to the university system to purchase these meat products. And I know that's kind of in the political process, but it was out there and in motion slowly, and I'm not sure the status of that, if anyone has any updates on that piece.
No, I have no idea, especially with the May revised budget from the governor that mentioned that the budget, in order for him to balance the budget, he's gonna reduce the pay to all the state employees. So I have no idea how this is gonna play out. We we just got a contract signed that took effect in July 1st of last year after 5 years of not having a contract. And now they want to take it back to what it was before. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to be money for other projects, but I have no idea.
Yeah, and I don't really have an update. I'm not directly involved in it. That is Matthew Marsom, our policy person. And I can see if he might be available to join the call to give us an update. If you'd
If
like.
there's an update, we can also send it out just kind of as in the newsletter when we know more. So I don't think anything is firm yet at any rate, right? It's just kind of brewing.
Yeah, exactly. I can text him to see if he has an update.
Okay, great. Great. And then this is another rock update, which Doris, you probably know more than I do, but just that that you'll be taking over the Beef to Institution, managing that website, and that there's a little bit of funding for you to keep that alive.
It's on my list of things to do this week. FYI.
From Tomcat Foundation, right? So they're supporting that.
Yep.
Which is good to see. And then the last kind of update on the positive before we get to the demo is just that there is a nice opportunity coming up in September, which is the Tierra Madre Foundation as part of the Farm to Fork, and they're hosting a big regenerative meat table, and there'll be an opportunity for a bunch of local producers and businesses to showcase their product there. And I don't know if the call for those participants is out yet, but there'll be more information coming soon, and that's September. I had the dates 24th to 26th. It was in the newsletter. They're not in front of me. So at least in the Sacramento area, that's a nice where people
Tierra
can
Madre,
gather.
25th.
Yeah, the Tierra Madre piece.
That's on the 25th, 26th, 27th of September. Yes.
And any other updates from anyone before we switch to the demo? Clint or Giles? Okay. Well, Henry, we're excited to see your product. So this is Doris, is the share screen available?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, great. And Henry, if you could introduce yourself quickly, I did not do a good job of that. So welcome.
No worries whatsoever. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for having me to this forum. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to meet you all. My name is Henry Arrowood. I am the founder and CEO of a company called FARMSHARE. And we're really in the business of building technology that helps to decentralize meat supply chains. So I actually used to live in Northern California. I was living out in San Francisco and working the standard sort of tech trajectory. And during the pandemic, I had an interesting opportunity to leave San Francisco and move to a beef cattle ranch in Montana. And that was really my first exposure to the ag industry, and was very shocked to learn of the great inequities and inefficiencies in the industry and just how much consolidation there was that was leading to such compressed margins for producers. And I started to see unfold in front of me a very interesting opportunity to build infrastructure that would help to decentralize the meat supply chain, shorten the path to market for producers, and promote more transparency for end consumers. So we've been in business for now 3 years. We've taken a little bit of a few twists and turns in our approach, but our platform today really focuses on how can we enable the middle of supply chain by way of independent processors to facilitate the production and distribution of regional meat. So we have an operating system that we built for processing facilities that really helps to manage all of the inner workings of the facility, all of the cutting instructions, all of the communications, all of the inventory management, all of the production scheduling, right? It's really the first piece of software for independent processing facilities that help them to be efficient in a 21st century way, that really help to maximize their time towards producing quality meat, and really detract from a lot of the administrative minutia that comes with managing a processing facility. We have over 30 processors that we're working with across the country. And what we're doing is really building a network of independent processing capacity that enables us to facilitate direct to market distribution between wholesale buyers and groups of independent producers. So what I'm really excited to share with you all today is what this experience looks like. We're really at the beginning stages of this. We're just putting this together in a pilot capacity in the state of Colorado, but we're really excited to expand it into other geographies. Very, very excited about the prospect of California. But Troy and Courtney invited me here just to kind of share a little bit of our vision and just some sneak preview as to what it is that we're building. Really just to kind of gauge interest here and get the reaction from the crew. I think that there's a lot of sort of alignment between what we're doing from a infrastructural and technology perspective, and I think a lot of the ethos of what this group aims to do as well. And so yeah, I just think that there's a high degree of overlap here, and hopefully this sparks some interesting conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of run through this with you guys. So we've got two sort of experiences here within this demo environment that I want to speak to. The first is the buy side, and the second is the supply side. So I'll start with the buy side. So here we've got a demo account for a restaurant. There's a few, stories to be told about a restaurant or any institutional buyer on this platform. Maybe a cost savings story in some respects, right? On certain parts of the carcass, maybe there's, ways in which we're actually able to achieve cost savings by way of connecting these buyers with more regional producers. There's 100% a producer impact story, right? By disintermediating a lot of the traditional intermediaries on the supply chain and connecting those two traders more closely, a lot more money is going into the producer's pocket. And then there's also likely a carbon impact story, right? By way of, the fewer food miles that we're using in the distribution of that product versus, broadline industrial supply chains. Obviously, the first order operation for a buyer here is to place an order. So they come in and they can kind of set what it is that they're looking for. So maybe it's ribeye steaks, 100 pounds delivered on like a weekly cadence. Then we enable the buyer to express some sort of quality preference, something that likely isn't expressible or muted rather within the traditional supply chain. So maybe it's grass-fed, maybe it's organic certified, maybe it's local within 200 miles. We'll go with that. So awesome. Now we have this order that a steakhouse has put together for 100 pounds of ribeye steaks delivered weekly from a group of local producers within 200 miles. Well, we all know that when we put together an order like that, we're going to have a lot of other meat that we then have to move. So one of our objectives as sort of the market maker here is how can we balance the carcass? How can we claim more of that carcass from the the buyer? So what we're doing here is we're basically going through and we're looking at the potential yield distributions across those carcasses. 100 pounds of ribeye, probably coming from about 1,600 pounds of total carcass weight. How else could we be breaking up that animal, and can we move that product to that buyer? There's the potential for tenderloin. So maybe, as a buyer, I want to get some tenderloin as well. Then there's going to be ground beef, obviously. Maybe I want to grab some of that ground beef as well. So now I have this order for my primary cut, which I've selected as ribeye, and then sort of these additional cuts that I've selected through the buying checkout process, and I can come in to place that order. Awesome. Well, how does this look like for a producer? So flipping over here to a producer experience, this is a demo account for a rancher. They've got a set of attributes across their production, maybe a set of certifications as well. And if I, as a producer, if my practices match the parameters of what the buy side bid is looking for, that bid is going to appear as an opportunity for me. So in this instance, we've got 2,000 pounds of grass finished ribeye for this prime steakhouse. And we can see the requirements here of which I meet, grass finished, hormone free. Obviously, one of the big issues in dealing with the direct to institution sales channel is scale, right? How many producers are going to be able to match a 2,000 pound, grass finished ribeye order on a weekly basis? Not many. So what we're doing here is we're really running an aggregation play. On this particular order here, we can see that we already have 2 other producers committed to this bid at 800 and 500 pounds respectively. So as I as a producer am interested in this, I can come in here to commit supply. I can see who's the buyer, what's the target price, what's the product in question, what are the requirements on the production specs, and what are the details on the delivery cadence. If all of this looks interesting to me, I can come in here to commit supply. I can say, all right, maybe I want to dedicate 20 head to this. And, the average live weight on those animals is 1,800 pounds. And then we start to make some deductions around what the yields are going to be, right? For this product in question, the ribeye, we're likely going to be yielding something around 1,300 pounds of ribeye, right? 8% of the total cutout. We then have, 661 pounds that are still needed to fulfill this restaurant's order. So I can come in here and I'm incentivized to come in here and invite other producers who might be a fit, right? They are also hormone free. They're also grass finished. So at this point, I can kind of get a sense for, all right, of the meat that pertains to this particular order, the ribeye, I'm going to be paid out somewhere around $16,000. And then we have these other saleable meats that we have to move, and we'll talk about how we're moving that in a second. But if all of this looks good, I can come in here to confirm commitment. So this links in with our network of processors. As I mentioned, we have over 30 processors that we're working with across the country. What we do is, we understand what their production schedule looks like. We understand what their capabilities are. We are the one that's actually taking note of the inventory at each one of these processing facilities. So the producer can come in here and look at these different processors that we're looking with, and they can just come in here and to book a slot. And just to flip over kind of quickly to show you, what this looks like on a processor's basis. Well, this is the operating system that we're running at the processing facility. And I won't go into it in too much detail, but again, it's really like the operating system underpinning this processing business, right? Here you can see the production schedule where all of the different, harvest dates, cut dates, drop-off dates, etc., are living. Awesome. So just coming back over here to the buy side for a second, one of the things that I'd mentioned was, all of the other saleable meats, right? We might have a product in question that a producer has committed supply towards, but obviously, if you're just taking the ribeye steaks, we have a lot of other product we need to move. So there's a whole merchandising effort in this platform, right? We're looking at all of the unclaimed cuts across a carcass, and we're doing real-time price optimizations with AI to figure out, okay, to which buyers can we be advertising at which price points, and how aggressively do we need to be discounting as we get closer and closer to the cutting date of those animals. Our objective in this is really not to hold any inventory whatsoever. We're running the marketing strategies, we're running the pricing algorithms, we're running the merchandising to the degree that we will have all of that meat claimed for ahead of that carcass actually going into the cut room, right? And so here we can see the way in which we're kind of merchandising and pushing these other cuts of meats. So coming down here, last thing I want to just touch on quickly is, okay, an active order, right? Once we actually have all of the producers committed to meet a particular bid from, in this case, a restaurant, that then is locked in at the processor, right? Those animals, that lot is committed to that processing slot. Those animals go in, we're sending all of the cutting instructions to that processor. They're inventorying all of that product. And then lastly, we're actually routing the last mile delivery of that product from the processing facility out to the set of end buyers likely, right? Unlikely that we're just going to have all of that meat going to one particular buyer. It's likely going to be distributed amongst a portfolio of buyers. We're working with third-party freight carriers to actually track all of those particular orders, pick up the product from the processing facility and then distribute it out to those end buyers, right? So really alleviating the processor and the buyer from that last mile burden. Three things that I think to me really stand in the way of scaling an effective direct to institution strategy for most independent operators that we've really tried to cover off for in our platform. Number one is scale, right? The ability for a particular producer to go out and establish a relationship directly with a restaurant, a school, a prison, whatever the case may be. There's a big scale question, right? We're really managing for that in terms of the aggregation play that we're running with the producers. Secondly is the balancing of the carcass, right? You might have a buyer that is going to take all of your prime cuts, right? But what are you doing with all of the with all of the roast, the braising meats, and the ground, right? That's what we're really doing on the back end to aggregate the supply of the producers, but then disaggregate or distribute the all of the supply to the various different set of buyers to which that product is going to get the highest bid. And then lastly is logistics of it all. Okay, me as a producer and restaurant as the consumer, we have two inherently different products and needs. I have an animal, they're looking for meat, right? How do we actually get the fabrication of that product and then that fabricated product from the processing facility out to the end buyer? That's what we really established with our network of processors today. So excited to kind of open it up for discussion now. Again, this is something that is very much in its beginning stages in a pilot capacity in Colorado, which is where my company is located and where I live. But very, very excited by the prospect of expanding this into California. I just appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of take a look at this today, and I'm very excited to just open it up and take any questions that you guys might have or hear any thoughts that you have about FarmShare.
How do I put my hand up?
Floor is yours, Sam.
First of all, very cool product. Are you allowing businesses to bid on the or place available, like respond to requests from restaurants through you?
Like Creamco as opposed to a rancher? Yes.
Yeah. No
10 out of 10.
No bias.
10 out of 10. I mean, we have a lot there, some of the early partners that we're working with in Colorado are very similar. Not to the, I don't think that they've necessarily commercialized their business to the degree that like Creamco has, but they are ranchers that own processing facilities, and they, as a business, want to bid on these opportunities. So we are entirely open and collaborative to the idea of working with processors and food service businesses themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think our team should see this even as an internal aggregation tool, the way that it's built, because so you and I, can you put your email in the chat so I can
Yes.
That's with you after. And then what if, so in your hypothetical, like if I'm a rancher and I do want to commit to that 1,200 ribeye and then it goes to processing, then what happens to the rest of the animal? I get it back, you take it, where does it go?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. So it basically sits as a unclaimed supply within the network, right? And as a producer, I can choose to like if there's certain parts of that I want to claim, and I say I want to bring that, all the ground beef back, or I want to take that to farmers market, whatever I want to do, I can basically take that out of circulation within the network. But if you want us as the market makers, again, how we're getting paid is we get a transaction fee, right? So it's in our interest to move that product at the highest price point that as fast as we possibly can, right? And so if that product is still in circulation and hasn't been unclaimed, we are actually going out and promoting that product to the portfolio of different buyers that we're working with, whether it be restaurants, whether it be local meat distributors, whether it be um, schools, whatever the case may be.
But who's storing it? The processor?
Our whole objective is to claim the product, to have the product claimed before it actually ever gets cut.
So okay, so like within your algorithm, and you're saying, for the whatever in your hypothetical 2,000 pounds of ribeye, there's going to be way more chuck than that. So
Yeah.
like it won't actually execute the ribeye bid until the chuck is claimed.
Correct. Yes, we
Got it. Okay.
need to claim the animal. So the whole entire carcass. So we're really trying to err on the side of not creating a cold storage and inventory crunch, right?
Okay.
We know a lot of these processors don't have the capacity to store it, nor do the producers that we're working with. And so the whole sort of secret of what we're doing is we've created these algorithms to basically go out, create the potential yield distributions, do the price optimization strategies to figure out how we can claim the entirety of that carcass before it actually gets cut.
And does the producer set like a minimum per pound of the carcass profit? So like,
Yes.
okay, got it. Great.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm about to send you an email, so we should connect later.
Good deal. Good deal.
I just want to announce that Matthew Marsom has joined the call, and Matthew is our policy consultant. So maybe he can give us a little update on that budget request, but there's going to be more questions in terms of this presentation.
So let's finish up on this first and then go over to Matthew. Yeah, so other questions or comments from Gillis?
I have a quick one. Gillis Robertson, Siskiyou County. I just wanted to ask you a little bit what it looks like for sign up on the producer's end. What will that process entail?
Yeah, it's a really good question. First, we need like a pilot opportunity in California. Gillis, I imagine you're in California. So I'm working hard to make something come to life with some of the people here in California. So once we have a pilot program that we can start to put together within California, we will most certainly be in touch with you, Gillis. How it's working right now in Colorado, and what we're doing is it's actually a lot of it is happening by way of the relationships through the processors that we work with, right? So we're working right now in Colorado with 6 or 7 processing facilities, and all of the supply that we're aggregating is by way of the processors that we're working with, right? So we basically go out, establish this node on our network, which is the processor. They have relationships with hundreds of producers. They basically service the distribution channel to the various producers that we could work with. We send out like comms to those producers, basically tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. This is this new opportunity that we're forging, and here are here's the customers that we're working with. Are you interested in participating? So again, we're not doing anything in the state of California yet. But when that time comes, Gillis, we'll make sure to have you on the list.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that.
Anything else?
Doris or Courtney, will contact information or some information on this go out in one of our newsletters?
Yeah, we'll send out the link for this call to the group, and Henry, if you are agreeable, we'll send your email with that so people can come back to you directly. And also there might be a few other folks in particular that we think should see this, and we could reach out to them directly. So
Most certainly.
yeah, great.
Thanks a lot, Henry. That looks like a good product you guys are putting together. I'm excited to
Thank you.
see if it makes sense for the California crew.
Cool. I appreciate that, Patrick.
Should we give the floor to Matthew?
Let's do it.
Or any other questions? Go for it, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Doris. Good to see everybody. Some of you I know, others I don't. I'm Matthew Marson. I'm a policy advisor with Roots of Change. I wanted to just give a quick update because I think there was maybe a question around the regenerative meat pilot, which Roots of Change has been advocating for at the state of California. So the first update is, unfortunately, due to the budget deficit, which is pretty significant, we were not successful in moving forward in this calendar or this legislative calendar year, the budget request. We're looking to secure $5 million to establish the pilot program at the California Department of Food and Agriculture that would provide grants to universities, both the UC system and the Cal State system, to be able to purchase a California-raised regenerative meat. We were not successful in this calendar year, but we do intend to continue moving forward. We think this is a priority. It's something that's both good for the university system from all the different health reasons, but also aligning with the state's climate goals. And essentially, it's vital for the producers and the industry in California. So we're moving forward still. We're hoping to provide a broader update to some of our allies and partners. So look out for more details from Doris or through Courtney with details for a Zoom call. We'll be looking for some of our champions to join us for an update, whether that's through the state budget or through other means, whether that's through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund or some other way to invest in this. We're not sure yet, but we believe this is still a really key priority and something we'll be continuing to advance at Roots of Change. So happy to take any questions, or if folks have offline questions or they want to learn more, I'll put my contact information in the chat.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Matthew. So Courtney, what else is on our agenda for today?
I think that's about a wrap. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you all for joining, and we'll make sure to send, Matthew, do you want us to include your information when we send out the video to the
Yeah.
network? Well, okay.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm just putting in my phone number. Folks can text me or send me an email. I don't have a Roots of Change email, but you can send it right there. Thank you.
Great.
Right. And I forget what our thoughts are on cadence on these meetings. So when you can expect another update meeting, had we decided on that?
Yeah, I think we wanted to try and send out a newsletter about once a month, and then add an update when there's something interesting to share. So hopefully once a month, and hopefully next month we'll have some more information from the University of California on their next steps there. So roughly monthly is what we're hoping here. So happy May, everybody, and we'll talk to you all next month, potentially.
Good seeing everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Joining
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Happy Monday. Bye.